Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Heidi's Outdoors. Well, as you can tell, I'm not exactly outdoors because it is cold outside. My name is Derek, and my wife Jessica and I have, we've our family has survived 2020, and we're going into 2021 with a new dream, with a plan. We live in the suburbs, out here in eastern Missouri, and we decided that it was time. We needed to change. I don't know if it was the pandemic or if it was just not being happy with the suburbs. Don't get me wrong, we are blessed to have a such an amazing life. God has done some amazing things for us. We've, for the most part, we're healthy. We have plenty to eat. We're not suffering. I know that so many people right now are hurting, and so it feels kind of selfish to say that we want more. Well, but the more what we want is more. We want our own home. We want to have that. We want to we want to live a simpler life. So there's a hustle and bustle in the suburbs and in the city, and it's the race that we're kind of tired of running now. So what we're planning on doing is we're building a farm. Well, a homestead, I guess you could call it. And as you might tell beside me, some of the things that we've done, some steps we've taken to prepare for for this new adventure is, making certain we have the tools necessary to build. In 2020, we knew that we needed to change. We wanted to change. So we took the steps and we bought some property. We got 28 acres here in eastern Missouri, and it's undeveloped. It's vacant land. It is a place that has so much potential. So that potential, there's going to be a lot of hard work to get there and get that to show that potential. I'm not the best with cameras. I'm not the best with recording or doing this. I'm not on social media. I don't do this stuff. So this is a new thing for me. First part is I'm going to do an electrical upgrade. I'm going to be adding a fuse block, an accessory fuse block, so that way, it's a clean install. We've got all the access to power without having to snake and fish and wire a whole bunch of electrical connections down to the battery. So I'll be taking and installing a fuse block up here that we can use to attach some lights to power a winch if we get to that point. But the first part is making certain that our the we can get a grapple functioning on this with a universal kit from Summit Hydraulics. As you can see here, this tractor, it is an RK37, and it is a beast of a tractor. I am so impressed with what it is, with what it's been capable of doing, because I've played around with it a little bit so far, and whew, man, is it strong. I remember seeing this for the first time from Mike Morgan on Outdoors with the Morgans, and Mike really did a good job. He demonstrated some very amazing capabilities for what these things can do. I like his saying, it's a tractor, it's not a bulldozer. Well, we're gonna kind of see what all it can do as we spend the time to clear our land and do what we need to do, getting ready to go into building. We'll take it day at a time, one step at a time. Um, Unfortunately, because my wife and I both work full time, so this is going to be this is going to be our extra time in the evenings and weekends. So it'll be a fun journey. There's going to be probably lots of screaming, blood, tears. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a wild ride. What we're trying to do is we are going to be taking this RK37, this big beast of a tractor. I know for some people it may not be a beast, but man, this is a powerhouse. It is amazing actually what this thing is capable of doing. So as you can see, we outfitted it when we ordered it with we got the backhoe. It's got the 18-inch bucket, and oh my gosh, I am just so amazed at how capable this is. And this thing is not, for being a compact tractor, this thing sure does not feel very compact. I've already started a little bit of the um, I've already started doing a little bit of work to kind of get ready for doing this installation. So figuring out doing that's with everything. You have to do some proper planning so that way you can execute. So this is a 37 horsepower Yanmar engine in this beast. What we're going to be doing is we are going to be taking and connecting to the battery here, and we are going to be working our way up to connect into and setting up this fuse block here. This is by Blue Sea Systems. They do a lot for marine grade applications. So what we got here, and what I've already done some little bit of work, nothing crazy or super exciting. Just went ahead and made a couple brackets here to mount this, because trying oftentimes when you're trying to make a modification or do something, especially when you put this much money into something like a tractor or a piece of equipment, you want to, at least my position on it is, I want it to uh, I want to do it right, and I want to make certain that it's going to last and that it's going to work every time that I can rely on. So we're going to be installing a 100 amp breaker here that is going to supply our accessory panel. So that way, whenever we want to add anything on in the future, that we'll be able to without any major having to do any additional major wiring. So we're basically just doing all the major wiring here up front. And how is everything going to fit? We want to have all the components, all the pieces that are going to be fitting, and we want them to fit in the right way. So that way, we're not only are we being the most efficient with our use of wire, because especially heavy gauge wire isn't cheap, but we also want to make certain that we're not obstructing something. So say in the future I got to replace the battery or do something, do the maintenance here and replace the fuel filter. Well, I don't want to block that. So I got to think about where can I put this fuse block, so that way is going to be in a good place, because usually you want to have those within a pretty close distance of your battery. I believe they usually recommend within like 10 to 12 inches. So let's see where we can get that located. Right now, what we're trying to do is we want to try and get these rib nuts set, so that way they can give us something to thread into. For those of you out there who have never used rib nuts, they are amazing when it comes to fabricating. When you want to make something and you want to bolt something or screw something down, be able to take it off. Yeah, rib nuts are where it's at. Okay, nice and solid. We'll get one more. Okay, now for the fit, let's make certain we are good to go. So got me some 4mm cap nuts. These are the hex head. We'll go ahead. Yeah, which way do we want to face it? Yeah, we want to face it that way. So you can see. Oh. Okay, get that one started. Let's get this other guy started. Grab the Allen wrenches. And of course I don't have them right here, so. Great thing about these types of fasteners, they come with almost everything you need to get them snug down. This is, yeah, that looks really good. That's not going anywhere. There we go. All right, so that is our circuit breaker. I want it elevated up off the bottom here just in case during some inclement weather. It's not exactly the most, this isn't a traditional waterproof one that you would want to use. I tried to order one and I got it in. It was junk. It was a hot piece of garbage, so a piece of Chinese junk. And so searching, I figured I'd just go ahead and use this. Now this is a style that you'd likely see more in used in a sound system when you see those cars going around with the big thumps and big beats. Yeah, this is the type that you would normally see for that kind of a power system, but it'll work. It'll work for this application. So, and what's great here, so this is set and this is made for a 6-gauge wire. Now, 6-gauge should be more than enough power to run the accessory panel that I'm installing on the tractor. First of all, there are a couple different considerations. One is what's your draw going to be. So I know that most of the accessories I plan on installing won't or shouldn't have a huge draw that would exceed, say, maybe 50 amps. I don't anticipate right now between the lights and the controller here for the grapple, but in the future, I'm also considering doing a setup for a winch, possibly. Now, those can draw a lot of power, so might have to revisit if this will work. But so for 6-gauge wire, that would be more than enough for the amperage draw to the circuit breaker, and then for about the 5 feet, I got to go up into the to the panel. So yeah, that'll 5 feet. That's you're not going to have the attenuation in the power, so that'll be a good solid draw. All right, let's get this end connected in. Now I should have a ferrule on here. Unfortunately, though, so this is not going to be coming off. But unfortunately, though, I don't have any wire ferrules that will fit this gauge. So now we'll slide this in through. Should provide a pretty good seal. Get this tightened down. That's not perfect, but it's pretty solid. Pretty happy with that. So now I gotta route the wire, figure out the best routing. It's probably come down around and back up. So we'll come down around and up. Here, let's go. Let's go ahead and fish it underneath that guy. And I'm going to be covering all this in some loom anyways, because what we want to do is we want to have it be as protected, but also so that way it looks as close to like it was factory as possible. So from here, we'll have a loom and zip tie connector there. So from there, we're gonna get this connector. So here, see if we can get a little bit of a mark on it. There we go. And we'll get this wire crimped, ready to go. All right. So what we've got here is we have a crimped on connector. I've already got it attached to the fuse or to the breaker box. Basically used one of these hammer style crimping tools. You set it in the die, pull it up, put it down, and then you whack it really hard with the hammer. Well, a couple times. So we got a good, nice, solid fitting here. This thing has a solid mechanical connection. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a heat shrink connector on it. So we'll get that put together. So here is the finished wire that's going to connect to the battery terminal. And we got a nice solid mechanical connection there, crimped on with some heat shrink. Going to be putting some tubing over it so that way it blends in and it doesn't stand out. Try to get it to match up as much as possible. So let's get this one, and then we've got multiple to do just like this. But this one is, pretty straightforward, pretty easy. So we'll be doing a few more of these up to the electrical panel, and I'll be back with you once we have the electrical panel set. It's nice and snug. Now, since I don't have the other end fully connected and set up yet, I am not going to complete that circuit and complete that connection. So we will save that for when we get the lugs on the panel. All right, we are back again, and we have fished our wire up through along the frame. Now what we have to do is we have to find a way to get this through the firewall. I got two options. I've got a grommet, a rubber grommet that I can access right down here to run up. But the two places I have to get power to, or the primary place I have to get power to, is this panel right here. So I'm also going to be using this relay that I've mounted up top. Here's the signal wire for it. We'll get that wired up a little bit later. But the first thing I need to do is I need to get the power and the ground set over here to this junction block. So we have the ground up top here with some ground lugs that we can use to make certain that any accessories that have both the power and ground coming to the panel will have access right here. And then we have a split system. One of them is going to be actuated and turned on whenever the tractor turns on with the ignition, and then the other one will just be a constant power source. So just depending on what type of accessories. So we've got lots of room to play with here on the dash. We've got plenty of space that will likely be mounting some switches for possibly some flashing lights, some floodlights to help, especially when we're in dark conditions, or whenever we're doing the if we have to go on the roadway. We got the flashers, but I want to make certain that we're extra safe. So we're going to make certain that we have more than enough power to supply any accessories that we need. I'm going to go ahead, and I think I'm going to use this bottom ground right here. Now, or this bottom grommet. What it uses is, or what currently is going through there, that is the parking brake. So I think we're safe to go ahead and bring it up. So as you can see on the opposite side over here, we've got some wires and some holders. We might be able to do is bring it up just underneath here, and we'll get it fished up through. This, I would have a hard time telling that did not come like that from the factory. It's not anybody's way. Yep, I got all this extra loom here that we'll go ahead and trim back as we get our power set. All right, so it took me a minute to find it, but I just found it. Well, let's get this out of there. Can't see when you got the labels in the way. So again, this is this power block is marine rated. It's designed for things like boats and other exterior outside vehicles. So as you can see here, so A is designed for 24-hour or for continuous hot power sources. So then B, the B block, there's 6 circuits here in B, 6 circuits in A. What it allows us to do is add up to 6 circuits on both sides, so that way we can have switched and unswitched, or ignition controlled and non-ignition controlled hot wires, so that way we can power whatever we need when we need them. So this is the product that I'm using here. Again, what I ended up doing was I fabricated and put a couple brackets on here that's bolted to, so it's nice and secure. Used a couple riv nuts and some little bolts to go right through the firewall here. It's actually pretty solid. I'm very surprised, very impressed. I've now been using these riv nuts for some time, and they have really impressed me. All right, so it looks like we've got plenty of wire here. So we're going to take our hots to take us over for hot line to block A, and then we're going to take our ground up here. So let's go ahead and get that wired in. So for the top, for the ground, we're good to go, because what we're doing is this is just connected to the body ground on the engine. This is not a major load, and we're not needing anything else directly on here. So, but what we do need to do now is we need to do a jump, a red jump, because what we have to do now is we're going to connect off the post, come out the other side, and we're going to we have to power. I'll go ahead and turn this over. So what you have here is, this is your standard relay. So you've got your source and your load. So your power, your source, and your load. Then you have your ground, and then your signal switch. So this is going to be hooking to our signal switch. That's what's going to tell the power, because the power is going to feed through over to the relay, and but it's not going to be hot until it gets a source signal. Once it gets a source signal, then it's going to open, and then it will power the bottom part. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the back, and we will run it down to the bottom lug down here, so that way these 6 will be able to have access to the power when the engine gets. Well, so far I have got the main power supply that is running up into and going to the hotline. The ground is connected to the body ground is running and is connected to the ground. So we've already got the ground for our relay that I've tapped in now onto here. So as you can see here, you got a little ground wire that's run behind a couple items. Trying to keep everything nice and tidy in here. That's why I've also got some grommets, like this silicone grommet on top of the relay to kind of protect against any accidental touches. Last item I have, and everything should be buttoned up and ready to go here, is I've got to make one last connection as a power supply source. So since this is coming directly from the battery, this is on the circuit breaker from the battery. We're going to run this and going to connect this over to the relay to the hot leg, so that way it has the power to, whenever I need to turn it on, or whenever the tractor gets turned on, it will send the power back through and power the Bravo circuit. So you have the alpha circuit and the Bravo. The alpha is always hot. Bravo won't be. Tonight we're just worrying about making certain we have the electrical infrastructure set up that I can do any and all additions. And it's just a simple connect to a ground, connect to a power supply, all right here. And I got fuses, and I can monitor it from right here. Well, this is the moment. It's done. We have everything wired up here. So, just to recap with what we've got going on here. Let me go ahead and try and get this mounted. Taking off the mount. Oh my gosh, this thing is strong. All right. So if you remember, we started down here. Okay. We connected our 6-gauge power to this 100 amp circuit breaker. Still in the open position because I didn't want to send any power or let any power go through, down and around over up to the top. So we go around. You can see what we've got down here. Kind of hard to make out just a little bit here. See if we can zoom in some. All right, so what you got here is, this is the body ground. This is the ground that is connected. And so there's, from here, we have the red and black that are in our tubing all the way up through the firewall. All right, so we connect up. As you can see, we come down through one of the grommets, runs up. We have the ground running to the ground block. We have the power running to the power. Then we have a hot lead coming off, going to the relay, so that way an ignition source can turn that on and send that power down to the circuit B. So that way we know that if circuit B, or if the ignition's on, circuit B is hot, A is always hot. So that's one of the beautiful things about these types of panels, is that you have the ability to do so much with them. So we're going to do some really quick testing. Oh, let's get down here. We're going to make certain that we didn't get anything unplugged. All right, I think we are ready for our first test. Okay, so if everything works, got my 12-volt tester here. Let's go ahead and bring it out. Got my 12-volt tester. I'm going to hook that to my ground. Okay? We'll go ahead and disconnect the clamp. I don't need the clamp. So, first let me go ahead and let me turn on the breaker. By turning on the breaker, I touch this line, we should get light. We do. We got 12 volts into this circuit. Let me see. We got 12 volts into the circuit here. Now we shouldn't have 12 volts down here because the relay's not on. The relay isn't turned on. I turn on the ignition. We've got power. You probably hear the fuel pump going on in the background. Turn off. Boom. All right, well, everybody, it's been one heck of a day. Got a lot of good infrastructure set on here. All the electrical set up so that way we are ready to start installing some additional items. Tell you what, working that 6-gauge wire is no joke. It's pretty tough to work with. Having the right connectors, you know, I've all in total to install the electrical panel, the extra panel that I installed today, I would say I've got about $175 invested in that between the wiring, the connectors, I needed a special tool for crimping. Nothing crazy. One of these, just one of these $20 little jobs that you can, hit with a hammer and set your crimps. We got a bunch of tools that we need. We're using for I do for a lot of projects, whether it's automotive or anything. As you can tell, the temperature's dropping in here a bit because my breath is getting cold. So I'm gonna get this finished up, and I'm about to call this done for the night. I got some cleanup to do. I'm gonna get my wife's vacuum back to her, so that way she doesn't get too upset and wonder. But first I gotta empty it, make certain that we don't have any more of those metal shavings in there. Anyways, thank you guys, and hope that wherever you are in 2021 now that we're past 2020, a year that I want to forget. Well, I think we all do. But once we get, I think that once we get into the year, I hope that everybody has a much better year, because I think we're due for it. It's been a struggle, and I know that my family is blessed. We're so blessed, and so I don't want it to sound like I'm not appreciative of what we have. I mean, I've got all the tools I need. I've got too much stuff in my garage, as you can tell. I need a bigger workspace. That's why I need a big shop, and that's so we're gonna do with the property. So thank you everybody for coming, for joining me today. And if you like the video, please go ahead and hit that like button, share, subscribe, do the notifications, click the notification bell, so that way you'll know next time we come out with a video. So since this is our first video, I don't know when the next one's going to be out. So until next time, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next video.